And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today, I want to talk about one of the most important things that need to be ingrained inside your brain from you beginning your success journey. It is those words. I am responsible. Say it with me. I am responsible. The end goal for us to achieve optimal joy, bliss, and happiness, the end goal for that to happen, we need to have the ability to do. The ability to do is power, okay? So if the goal is joy, bliss, and happiness, we want to have the ability to take us there. We want to have the power to figure out how to attain joy, bliss, and happiness. If you don't understand how to get joy, bliss, and happiness, you'll never get it. It's not something random that happens by chance. You might be lucky. Sometimes you feel glimpses and blips of happiness and joy and whatever it is because of something happening in a relationship, or your friends are there for you, or you've been spending time with your family, whatever. Other people making you feel important. That's great. But does that happen just once in a while? Or is that something that is extremely consistent in your life? There's a system to this madness. There's a system to achieving joy, bliss, and happiness. And the only thing that you need to do in order for you to achieve that on a consistent daily basis and for the rest of your life, and perhaps for the rest of afterlife, okay, is to understand what the system is. And if you understand it, then you must also apply it. Because knowledge, if it's not applied, it's not really knowledge at all. So you got to understand how to achieve joy, bliss, and happiness on a consistent basis, and then you've got to apply the principles of that understanding. Once you do, you have the power to have joy, bliss, and happiness all of the time. You have the ability to get yourself there all of the time on a consistent basis. Not just a stimulation that gets you up there, not whatever, okay? It is your choice. You choose. You make it happen. You've got the power. Got it? Let's look at the definitions real quick of power. And for that, you guys will need to see what's going on. There you go. Responsible, blame. Okay, let's start with power. I've gone through this one before, but I'm putting it in a different way. Power. The ability or capacity to do something or act in a particular way. The capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or course of events. In order for you to achieve intense joy, bliss, and happiness on a consistent basis, other people have to deem you important on a consistent daily basis. It's not so important that tons of people deem you important, although that's wonderful and great as well. The key relationships in your life is what matters. The inner circle, the people that you care about what they think about you, that's the relationship that matters. Okay, so in the beginning of your life right now, in your current circumstance, you might not have a lot of people who deem you important. Okay, so you have to first take matters into your own hands and make yourself important. And you don't do that by threatening people or forcing people or using violence or whatever it is that you're trying to make happen, or using stimulants or drugs that you can only use temporarily, and if you do it a lot, you get addicted to it. No, you got to find a way that is consistent, that actually brings about this change in others on a consistent basis. Other people need to feel that you are important all of the time. How do you make that happen? You make them important. That's the key. You got to understand relationships. This is how the world works. This is how success works. This is how happiness works. You want to become important because that's truly what makes us happy. Interestingly enough, confidence. Where does it come from? It's basically that you have self-esteem because of other people esteem you to be of value, to be of importance, to be of assistance for their lives. So if you're going to have intense joy, bliss, and happiness, guess what you got to do, bro? You got to create the karma of that happening in your life by sending it out to other people first. But the more you try to make everyone happy, the less happy you make the inner circle, because they need your attention, they need your presence, they need your power in the different responsibilities that you have in their lives, if that makes sense, okay? So if, for example, if I want to have a great relationship with my clients, my coaching clients, I first have to create and help them to produce happiness in their lives. The more I help them to create a fantastic attitude and fantastic happiness and power and abilities to do, etc., and I help them to achieve all of their goals in their lives, they're going to get fired up outside their brains. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to fire me up as a result. They're going to be like, bro, I'm never leaving this guy because he's helped me get this, and I've progressed faster than I ever have in my entire life in just a few months. I'm never going nowhere. What do you think happens to me as a result? I get fired up outside my brain. I've got someone here who believes my philosophies, who's fired up to be part of the Men of High Value movement. I'm going to be fired up all of the time. As soon as I help people to feel important, they're going to help me to feel important. And we're going to have a mutual joy, bliss, and happiness in that relationship as a result. I've been 2 years in a coaching relationship with Luaista. Not once have we had a prolonged tiff of any sort. And if there's been misunderstandings, it's happened literally less than 2 or 3 times. And if there's more, I don't know about them, and he got over it real quickly, okay? Because, we have an amazing relationship. Because he gets me, and I get him, and we actually progress together towards his goals that assists my goals. Does that make sense? And that increases both of our power. And in turn, both of our joy, bliss, and happiness as a result. Okay, this is just a client. I could talk about my wife, I could talk about my kids, I could talk about my, anyone who's in my life who's part of my inner circle. I want to figure out, how do I develop the power to give other people joy, bliss, and happiness? The ability to do so that they get joy, bliss, and happiness. That's going to return back to me tenfold, because there's more than 10 people in my life, Not only that, but they escalate. What you send out always gets returned in a multiplication type of fashion, okay? So this is the aspect of power. What's the opposite? Okay? In order for you to get joy, bliss, and happiness, you're responsible in other people's behavior and what happens in your life as a result. What's the opposite? The inability to do. I tried to write the inability to do, synonym, whatever, and then it came up with this. Okay, I thought this was interesting. Okay, incapacity, lack of ability, incapability, powerlessness, impotence. That's the opposite of power. Impotence. You don't want to be impotent, bro. Helplessness, incompetence, ineptitude, inaptitude, unfitness, ineffectiveness. Bro, you don't want any of this stuff. Ineffective, powerless, etc., etc., etc. Do you see what I'm saying? What makes sense? You want as much power in your life as possible, because the opposite direction is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to have the inability to do, to be impotent, to suck. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so let's look more at the responsibility aspect. Okay, the most important aspect of taking responsibility of your life is to acknowledge that your life is your responsibility. No one can live your life for you. You are in charge. No matter how hard you try to blame others for the events of your life, each event is the result of choices you made and are making. So when I talk about the aspect of women and how you should never, ever, ever blame women, ever in your life. Why? Because the moment you blame them, you're literally going the opposite direction of power, the opposite direction of responsibility, and the opposite direction of creating joy, bliss, and happiness for them. Okay? You want a happy woman in your life, okay? Or happy women, right? They need to have joy, bliss, and happiness at all times. Oh, well, that's impossible. It's only impossible because you don't know how. It's just ignorance that causes you to believe that it is impossible to create joy, bliss, and happiness in a woman all of the time. The only thing that's necessary for a woman to be fired up outside her brain and be in that blissful state continuously, pretty much 95% of the time, is for her to be in love. Your job is to figure out, how can I get this woman to love me and be in love with me and stay in love with me for the rest of her entire lifetime. That's your job. We've got the systems here on the Men of High Value channel and the Women of High Value channel. If you don't know what they are, you haven't studied this enough, subscribe and like these videos. You see the opposite. Blame. Feel or declare that someone or something is responsible for a fault or wrong. Responsibility for fault or wrong. Dang. Blame is the act of censuring, holding responsible, making negative statements about an individual or group that their action or actions are socially or morally irresponsible, the opposite of praise. When someone is morally irresponsible for doing something wrong, their action is blameworthy. What happens when you point your fingers? You're pointing 4 fingers at yourself, right? Or 3, or whatever it is. The whole aspect of it, no one teaches this except for us in the Men of High Value movement, that you should never ever blame women. It doesn't work because they're designed to blame us. That's what they're designed to do. Why? Because they inherently know that we're supposed to be the leaders. There are tons of women that don't want men to be leaders, but the only reason that's the case is because they've been screwed over too many times that they can't even count it by men who did not take responsibility and who blamed them. Okay? So women don't, they very often say that, no, I want to be the leader in the relationship. Oh, okay. That's going to turn them off for a very, very long time. The whole key that we're trying to establish is for men to become leaders and to develop power. A man who is submissive in a relationship, he kind of has to be in monogamy. And that's what sucks about monogamy, is that he's submissive because he's got no other options. He is without power. He's impotent. He doesn't have choice. Okay? That's a problem because he can't have power as a result. So don't ever sleep around, because if you're sleeping around, you're basically blaming women. And I wanted to mention this last aspect. Creator. Okay? If you have power, that means that you can create anything in your life that you desire. What is another word for creator? Author. Can you basically author your own life? Designer. Father. It's kind of, male, don't you think? Okay? Initiator. Men are supposed to initiate. Maker, originator, architect, begetter. He beget, he begat. Generator, composer. Do you understand what it means to be a creator? You were designed, my friend, to be a creator of your life, a creator of your destiny, a creator of your joy, bliss, and happiness, because you create the joy, bliss, and happiness in other people around you. As a natural result, you will receive the exact same thing back. Okay? Don't be a victim. Victims basically believe, people who suffer from the victim syndrome are always complaining about the bad things that happen in their lives because they believe they have no control over the way events unfold. They don't feel a sense of responsibility for them. Don't be a victim. Don't be entitled. I'll finish up with this. You must create a positive self-image, have positive self-talk and positive thoughts, which creates positive feelings and leads to positive actions and outcomes. Positivity. It takes the same amount of energy to be positive as it does to be negative. The difference in quality of life, attitude, health, relationships, and success is huge. The quality of my life is directly related to the quality of my communication with myself and with others. Self-talk, talking to others. And then guess what? They're talking to us, and that goes inside our brain, right? And that becomes our self-talk. Everything starts with you. You are the source of your life. You're the creator. To expect things to change on the outside without changing things on the inside is insanity. For things to change, I must change. You always have what you truly want. When you really want something, you do not stop until you have it. Quitters never win. Winners never quit. Any story or belief that people, situations, or things hold you back are self-imposed limitations and delusions. All the blessings of life are available to us this very moment, right here, right now. The choice of how good we choose to make our lives is up to us. If it is to be, it's up to me. Make your life a masterpiece. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are absolutely awesome. You're on your way. You are going to get the ultimate joy, bliss, and happiness that's prepared for you. The only thing you got to do is to tap into the system. Tap into the system and understand what it is, apply it to your life, and get fired up outside your brain. See you next time.